Hey, what's up guys, Mike here from Mini Outdoors. Today we're doing a little project. For those of you who have followed my channel for any time, you've seen me bring up my anchor and notice that I don't have a big bundle of rope in my lap. One of the biggest things that actually is a huge pain in the butt is when you're fishing from a kayak using an anchor trolley or not. When you pull up your anchor line, you have to have somewhere to put it. So you throw it in your lap. It almost always seems to find a treble hook, and you just have to bundle all that back up before you can start fishing again. So what I did is I actually did some research, and I found this way of actually having the line put itself away as you're pulling it up. And I'm going to show you guys how to make that mechanism. So the first thing you need is a clothesline retriever. This right here is one I buy on Amazon. I'm going to put it down in the show notes, a link to this one. There's a lot of different options. I only chose this one because it says it holds 49 feet, so it gives you a little bit more size spool. The first thing you have to do is you want to actually get rid of the line that comes with this, because it's this like kind of flimsy plastic PVC stuff. It's not going to have the durability that you need in an anchor line. So this part right here is actually crucial. You want to pull it all the way out. You guys will see all the line is out of it. There's a little tie around here. You want to wrap it around a couple of times. And the reason why you want to do that is because what we're going to do now is we're going to make this a more durable line by attaching this end to some paracord. And in order to do that, you have to tie it. But once you cut this to be able to attach it to the paracord, if it were to go back inside of this, you're never going to be able to get it back. So what I actually like to do is I take this part and I actually tie it in a knot. Kind of loop it in there. And I tie that in a knot. And then I put that knot around this little keeper. That prevents this from being able to go back inside while you work on this side of it. And then you want to be able to tie this to a rope, and then you can kind of untie it after. So what you got to do now is get yourself some 550 paracord like this. And then we're just going to tie 2 slip knots to conjoin those two. Now you have to keep in mind that there's not going to be tension on this plastic rope while it's being used in the water. It's not pulling on this mechanism, so it's okay that a little bit of it is plastic, because what you're going to do is when you run this out, you're going to attach your line to your anchor trolley and then cinch it off. So this actually isn't going to have any pressure on it, so a little bit of extra plastic line to give yourself the room to tie the knot is fine. You just don't want to use too much, because you'll lose the ability to have a full length anchor line. Give myself plenty of lead to be able to tie my knot with. And what you do, and you don't tell your wife, you use the kitchen shears and it cuts it perfectly. But don't tell my wife, and I hope that she doesn't watch this video. Next thing you're going to do is take your paracord, and I just tie a regular slip knot. I'm actually going to just do a 1/2 inch knot because that actually worked better in this case. And then you cut those tag ends as close as you can, because you don't want them to jam up inside of that spool. Like that. So now we're going to take our loop off. We're actually going to untie that loop. But see why we wanted to tie that loop in the first place? See how quickly that pulls back in there? So good example of what not to do, I guess. So I'm just going to untie that loop. So now that's free. Now if you watch, hold your line, kind of feed it back in. Now you want to make sure your paracord is kind of laid out in a way where it's not going to get tangled. And you just let it feed back in. So now you guys can see it's full right to the tip all the way through with all the black 550 paracord. Now what you want to do is you want to cut off a little length. Again, wife's kitchen shears. Shh, don't tell her. And then what I like to do is I like to use these little clips right here. So these actually have a cinch built into them. What you want to do is you want to be able to put it through there so that you can crimp this line, pinch it down like that so that the line can't pull through to your anchor. This allows you to have some control over it. You don't have to have an extra cleat or any type of attachment on your kayak. You can just clip this to your anchor trolley. Now, personally, I use this and a cleat. And then on the other end, what I do is I actually tie a regular carabiner clip. And that's because I take my anchor off of my kayak while I'm transporting it. You don't necessarily have to do this. You can do the chain. You can do all the other little techniques. But I like to just tie a stainless steel carabiner to the end of the line, and I just do a slip knot with a couple half hitch knots just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then what you can do with these anchor trolleys is you can take them, and they have hooks on the back that are intended to hook to a tree. You can actually screw these into your crate. You can zip tie them to your seat. There's a lot of functionality that allows you to hook it up. And the beauty is, while you're pulling your line up, it just goes right back in. So as you're pulling your line up from your anchor, it just feeds right back in there, stores inside of this. Now, little pro tip, don't get water in here. Don't let it fill up with water, because that's why I'm making this video, because I literally had to replace mine, because once it gets water inside of it, it rusts out the mechanism and then it won't retract. But literally, again, all you have to do, pull your line back up, it'll feed back inside, stay right in here. This holds a little bit over, I would say 50 to 60 feet of paracord. Now, I don't personally fish super deep, and when I'm anchoring down, it's usually in the shallows to target fish specific types of cover. So if you need more than that, this may not be a solution for you. But I highly recommend doing this. It's a really inexpensive way. I think these things are about 12 bucks. These clips are about $6, and then the paracord you can buy just about anywhere. A lot of people just have this stuff laying around, but I think it's like $7 or $8 for a huge roll. I've actually got quite a bit left over. I got quite a bit left over that I'm going to probably use for another project. So I hope this helps you guys out. I hope it gives you a little bit easier way to retrieve your anchor, and I hope you guys learned how to do this so you could build these yourself. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and as always, let's get out there and catch more fish.